Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to create a weather application using Django with the help of Open Weather API and City Image API. This application will fetch the weather and other information of city by using API. So let me give you a glimpse of what we are going to create today. So this is basically the default interface of our weather app, and let me enter any city. Suppose I enter Indore, and here you can see that it is displaying the temperature of our city, name of our city, and also weather of our city, and it is also displaying the image of our city which is fetched by city image API. So let me enter some more city and see whether it is correctly running for them also or not. So I enter Bombay. Yeah, that's it, it is running correctly. So now let's start creating our project. So first of all, I want you to make sure that you have already installed Python and Django on your system. You can install Python by their website, and you can see any tutorial for installing them. And finally, the prerequisite for this video is that you should have some basic knowledge of Python and Django. So let's get started. Now we will first create a folder and we will give it name weather. Now open our folder in VS Code. Now go to terminal. Then we have to write our first Django command, that is Django admin start project, our project name, that is weather project. Yeah, our project is created. Now we have to change the directory. So we have to create another app for our application so that we can perform all the operation in it. So we will write command Django admin start app name weather app. So this will be our base app which contains all the wiz.py and all those file which contains some function. Now as our project is created, go to weather project. Here go to settings.py, and in this folder write our install app name, that is weather app. Yeah, so now we will check that our Django server is running or not. So we will write another command python manage.py run server. We will go through this URL, and yeah, it is showing that our Django server is running perfectly. Now we will go back to VS Code. So here you can see that there are multiple apps like admins.py, apps.py, models.py, test.py, viz.py, and settings.py. But we have our main function in settings.py, urls.py, and viz.py. So we will work in this files only. So first there is a viz.py. The views are basically a Python function that takes HTTP request and return us a HTTP response like HTML documents and other. We will write all of the function of our application in this to process our application. Now we have urls.py which will create all the path of our application and how it will render. We have to create another urls.py in our weather app. So we will create here another file, that is urls.py. So here we will write all the URLs of our base app. Now from Django dot urls import path. This key will import all the path of our app, and we have to write here urls pattern. Yeah, that's it. Now again go back to the URLs of Pi of our weather project. So here we will remove this as we didn't need it. Here we will write. So first of all, we include the URLs of our base app. So here we have to include. Now include weather app URLs. Then we go to views.py. So here we come to views.py. Now, as I explained earlier that in this app it takes HTTP request and return HTTP response. So first of all we have to include here HTTP response, import HTTP response. Now here we have to write our function, that is def home request. Here return HTTP response, hey, this is my Django server. Yeah, we will write our command python manage.py run server. You can see that whatever server is displaying is whatever text we have entered in our HTTP response. Hey, this is my Django server. But we doesn't create application by this HTTP response, as it will become very difficult for us to manage more HTTP response. Then I will remove this HTTP response as we didn't need in this our program. So remove this. Now we will add template folder in our weather app. So create a folder, that is templates. So basically we will create our HTML template which is easy to implement and which is a standard convention for developing our website or application in a Django. Now we will work on our weather API. So go to Open Weather API, this website. Uh, Open Weather API is an online service API that provides global weather data via API, including current weather data, forecast, and historical weather data for any geographical location. Uh, this this website contains this type of APIs like current weather data, hourly forecast data, daily forecast data, and we will use this API in our project. So as you can see, this API contains some parameters, and these parameters are mentioned in this JSON file, which will describe us the description of weather, icon of the weather, and temperature. So we will use this API for our project that will have city name and API ID. So first of all, you have to create your API that go here. You have to log in into your account. Yeah. So you have to copy this API key and you have to generate your own API key. I am using this API key, and after your use, you can delete this API key for safety purpose. If you need to include all the API in your app, so you can generally go through this single API which will contain all these properties. So I will recommend you this API, but in this app we will use this because we doesn't have that much functionality in our application. So now let's get back to the VS Code. So here we first import request and then date time. Here we will write the views.py for our API. So we will write, we'll first enter URL, go to this API, and you have to copy this one. Yeah, you have to copy this API and paste in our views.py. First of all, you have to insert f string before this API, and now you have to remove. Now get back to the open weather API and copy our API and paste it here. So our API is used, and we will write then parameters for this will come this will convert the temperature unit into Celsius and Fahrenheit. Our API part is done, and now we will write this if else condition. If city in request dot then city equals to now else condition. So here you will write our default location, that is Indore. Yes, it is just only a variable which we enter in our HTML document, or what we call it as a form. And when we enter, then it will request for whether it is in API or not. The default value enter in our city variable is Indore. So we will write some more function to get the data. First we will write data is equals to get URL and parameters dot JSON. So this will fetch all the data from JSON file, and we will write these variables for our API, that is description of our weather. So copy this and paste here. Icon is just temperature. Yeah, this all the three function which we will include in our app. That first is the data description of our weather, and second is the description of our weather icon, and third is temperature of our city. We will write here 0 because all the index of information is 0 in our JSON file. So also we have to write day, which will return our date, which will return us date time dot date dot today, and we have to include all this in this return format. So right here all this variable temp and now data. Yeah, we are done. So now I will go to HTML page. That is, we have to first create a form. Right here method, because we have to enter our city. Post. In this form we will first enter CSRF token. This token is used for our security purpose of our form. And now input here. So enter here city, and in the place of ID right here placeholder. Now search button. Now right here search. So then enter the variable of what we have written in views.py, that are first enter s2. Here we will write our temperature and density. Then description of our weather. Now we have to add our image icon. So we will insert it in image. Now paste this URL in image. Now paste this URL in image to get our image icon. So we have enter our icon, and this is the convention. We have also have to enter here width, that is 100 pixel. Now we have also add day here. Now our HTML is completed, so check whether it is running correctly or not. So we go here in terminal, and you can see that our HTML is loaded. So here we will first enter our city to get our data. So now I will enter city, that is Indore. It is not giving us the name of our city, so I think I have made mistake in here is right. I think in views.py. Oh, I doesn't write city in this render. So here we will write city. So now I think it will return us the city name. So again Indore. Yeah, it is displaying the name of our city. So as you can see that our API is running good. So we will now create a new HTML template for our design. Now we have to create a new HTML template for our design. We have to design our HTML template like this. So this is basically our default interface, and now we will go to VS Code to design this template. So let's get back to the VS Code. here. So here in index.html, first remove this form. Now we have to create a new template. So first of all, we create a div container. It will contain all the our interface and now heading of our weather app. Now we have to create another form, that is form right here method post, and again CSRF token for our safety purpose. Now input type, so enter here city, and in the place of ID right here placeholder city. Now create a button for searching. This button type will be submit. Now create another div, call it weather. This will contain our main part. So it will divide it into two sections. First left and right. Div dot left. Here it will contain temperature and city. Temperature. And here is the icon selector. So we have to write hash 176. It is symbol for temperature. And now we have to enter city. Now get out of this div and create another div, that is right. This will contain our weather condition. Div dot right, and it will first contain an icon. That will contain an image. Now write here image type and paste our image. This will fetch the icon image and write it width, that will be 100 pixel. Create another div, that is condition, and it will contain two elements, that is first description and then div. So we have done with our HTML template. Now I will add a static folder to our weather app. So static folder will contain all the CSS file, and they will also contain the images of our app. So I am gonna create here style.css. So I'm not going through CSS because if I will explain CSS, then this will video will become so longer. So I am gonna simply paste it. You can get CSS from my GitHub ID or GitHub project. Yeah, this is our CSS. I will provide the GitHub link in description section, so you can get from there. Now in index.html, we have to first link our HTML. We have to first link our CSS. So right here style.css. This CSS file will not be loaded because in Django we have to write this command for loading our CSS. Load static. It will load all the static file in our app. So I have linked this style.css to our HTML. So In this CSS, we have basically our background image that will load into our interface. Now we have to go to settings.py, and here first we have to import OS, and now we have to include a static file in this settings.py. So here we will write static files directory os.path dot john base directory, and then our static folder. Now after this, go to ers.py, and here add static. So first we have to include two files from Django dot config import settings. Now from Django dot config URLs import static. This will import a static file of our folder, and we have to write here settings dot static URL document static root. Yeah. So by doing this, it will create our default interface of our app. So now go to index.html and save this file, and then terminal. Our static file is not loaded because I think I have made mistake in index.html that we will use syntax for this for static file, that is static, write it as, and then our style.css. So it was basically a syntax error that I have created because I doesn't load our style.css in static folder. So now check. Hope so. So this is completed, but I fucked up. So I think I have made mistake in this. So clear it. We have to write static style.css. It is generally a syntax in Django for loading our static file. And I also made one more mistake, that is I have to place this div at last. So here I will paste it. Yeah. So I will gonna save this, and now see, check it again, and yeah, here it is running. So yeah, this is our default interface page that is loaded by the HTML. Now here we will enter some more city for our API. So you can see that it is displaying the temperature of Ujjain and forecast of Ujjain, and some more cities like Bombay. Yeah. So we will now have to add two functions, that is city image API, and if someone has entered wrong city, or that city is not available to API, or if he have mistyped the city name. So let me suppose any city that is not available to API. Yeah. So it will provide the key error. So to get resolve this key error, we will write a try exception block in our views.py. So let's get started. So return to our VS Code. Here we have views.py, and now we will use try catch block, that is right here. Try block. So in this block we have to enter just this. Yes, copy and paste. We have to solve indentation error of Python. Yeah, that's it. Now we have to add except block that will create this function. Now in this exception block I will write exception occurred equals to true, and messages error enter data is not available to API. Now write here day dot date dot today. So it is giving us error at message because we doesn't have imported error messages. Now right here from Django dot contribute import messages. So now our message error is fixed, and now we have to return this in our exception block. We have to also write a new variable, that is if exception occurred. Write here true. So here we will write in description our pre-default value, that is clear sky, and in icons write 01D, and temperature write 25. We have make mistake there, we have to write in colons, and in day it is right. So in city we will write in the, yeah, that's it. Then basically what this try and except block will do is that if someone has entered right name of the city, then it will enter all the detail of our city, that will description, temperature, day, and city name. But if someone has entered wrong text, or if city is not available to API, then this condition will exception occur, then key error will occur. So our server will respond this message that enter data is not available to API, and it will display the default interface, that is here it will display the clear sky, which will be our weather, and default temperature, that is 25, and our default city, that is Indore. Yeah. And in try block, write false. F section word false. Now get back to index.html, and now here we have to write some JavaScript for our key error, that is if exception occurred. Window.onload is equals to function, and here we will write our exception of or our case, that is if here we will enter that city information is not available to our API. So when someone has entered wrong text or city is not available to the city to the API, then this function will create a alert message that if then this message then this function will create a function pop-up message, that is city information is not available to API, or enter right keyword, or enter right city name. So here we will end our if loop by end if. Now we will go to Google API to create our API for city image, and we will also create a search engine for searches. So go to the websites. So this is the website for generating our API, that is custom search JSON API, and here we will get our key. So here we will get our key, and I have already created, so I am not going to create again. So you have to first get this key and then go to its search engine. I will provide you link of both the website. Then add here and create your own search engine. Name it as new, and image search. I am not a robot. Enter site or page. Search the entire web. You will choose the setting. You will choose this setting. Search the entire web so that it will fetch all the images related to the city. I am not a robot. Create. Yeah, our search engine is created. So you have to copy this, and now go back to our code. That is, in this we will get back to views.py. Here we will enter our API key. Now create search engine ID and paste what we have copied in search engine. Paste it, and now we have to enter some variable like query. This will fix our image size, that will 920. Enter page, that will 1. So now start. We will create the logic of how our API will work, and You will get it by our source code. Search type. If anyone search for images. Now we have to paste our city URL that will be generated as in city URL. Here we will paste our API. Yeah, that's it. So this API will contain our API key, our search engine ID, our query logic, and start and search type, and what will be the size of our image. That will be X large. So enter some more data. That data is equals to, it will make request from city URL to read JSON file and provide us information. Here count is equals to 1. Now in search item, so the search item will contain the data of our JSON file, data variable that we have defined, that which will read JSON file and provide us the information. Data dot get items, image URL, search items. Here our index will be 1 and it will search through link. So we will write here link. Yeah, that's it. Our all the variables is created which is needed, and now we will add this image URL in our try block. Yeah, here we will add image URL, image URL. So basically our views is completed. Now I will gonna explain it, that whatever data we have entered, whatever city we have entered will be fetched, and it will display the image of the city through our API key or search engine, and it will also resolve the image size. And all these are the basic functions which we have written to get our data. So basically our image API work is completed. Now we will go to index.html, and here we will write another condition here. So in the case of if there is a key error, we have to return some image. So I will gonna write logic of it, that is if exception occur, then now it will resolve the background image function, that is go to style.css and in body tag copy this background image and go to index.html. Here paste our background image, style is equals to, now in else case if there is no exception occur, it will display us our city image. For that, style will be background image URL Now we have to return our image URL. So we will write here image URL. Yeah, so we have done, and here we will end our loop. And if so, we have done with our function. So go to our terminal and check that it is running correctly or not. Python my.py run server. Now enter. So we'll go through this. Now search for city. That is, I will search for New York. Yeah, it is entering the image of our city and our temperature is also. So we will enter some more city and see whether it is running or not. So we have entered Agra. Yeah, so that's it for today. We have completed our project. So you can find all this CSS and all the source code in our GitHub link. So keep learning, and I have also provided the API links of all those applications, and you can check it in description box. So thank you for giving your precious time, and thank you for watching.